Hi, I recently got hold of this, which is the Ohana OBU-22, and it's a little bit unusual. It's a bass. Now, whether you call it a ukulele bass or not is entirely up to you. Obviously, Ohana make ukuleles, and I imagine this would be of great interest to ukulele groups wanting to have a bass player, because apart from the fact that it looks vaguely ukulele-like rather than a big Fender bass, it would fit in with the looks. It's also smaller and therefore more accessible to people that haven't had any experience playing bass. However, I'm excited about this because I started life as a bass player. So I'm approaching this not as a ukulele player, but as somebody who regularly plays a full-size bass guitar. Have a quick look at the instrument and then we'll talk about how it works. So it's a solid spruce top. It's laminate mahogany back and sides with a really nice arched back there. I don't know if the camera's picking that up, but it's got a lovely, quite a sharp arch to the back, which I'm sure contributes to the volume this puts out. Mahogany neck with some really nice proper bass guitar tuners. It's got nice edge binding front and back, side dots on the fingerboard, a nice little rosette, and these 4 pins. This is a pin bridge, which makes perfect sense when you're dealing with ball end metal strings. This is the type of bridge I have on my acoustic guitars and even on some ukuleles, and I think they work very, very well, but particularly with ball end metal strings. Which brings me to the strings. This has regular bass guitar metal wound strings on it. It has a truss rod, an adjustable truss rod. There's a little Allen nut in there for adjusting that, so you don't have to worry about the neck bending or anything as you might if you try to put steel strings on any other kind of small bass. As a result, this is essentially a short scale acoustic bass guitar. The scale length of this is, I think it's about 25¼ inches. It's almost as long as my acoustic guitar scale, which makes this feel very, very familiar. All the fret positions feel very, very at home for me. Also, the dimensions of the neck feel very much like my bass guitar. This feels very, very much like home to me. It has got electronics in it. It's got a Fishman under saddle pickup, and then a preamp. There's a battery inside there, you lift it up, and we've got a tuner, a volume control, bass, middle and treble, and then a notch filter, which is handy if you start getting some feedback. You can sweep that across until you hit that troublesome frequency and cut that out. A Brilliance control, which is like a really high-end treble control, which really brings in more airiness and more sort of high-end sizzle to the sound. But it's also great for cutting to get rid of any string squeak. And then finally a phase button. And a phase button, without going too technical on it, is ideal if you're having problems with any kind of feedbacks or nasty overtones from a speaker moving in phase or out of phase with the way the top of the instrument moves. Both can cause problems. They can cause feedback, they can cause nasty clashes where you get horrible overtones that don't really musically belong with anything you're playing. But sometimes just pressing that is enough to get rid of it. So I like preamps with a phase button. This is the Fishman Precis Plus bass system. This is exactly the sort of system you would find on piezo pickup equipped acoustic bass guitars. It's a really nice system. And that goes to an end pin jack, which you can see I've got a plug in at the moment. However, I've got the tuner switched on, which mutes it. So I'm going to play it acoustically first of all, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised, I know I was, by the volume this thing puts out. Now, I'm not digging in particularly hard, and my hand's quite close to the bridge. Firstly, because that's just where my hand naturally falls. It's a comfortable position. But playing closer to the bridge, obviously this has got a shorter neck, shorter scale length than a bass. So there's less tension, which makes it nice and easy to play. But if you dig in over here, it gets a bit rattly, but that's not a very comfortable position to play in. Back here near the bridge, I can really dig in and get some volume. So, to me, this feels very much like a bass guitar. And this is why I'm quite excited about it, because I've played lots of other things marketed as ukulele basses. And whilst they're great, they do a great job, and they're interesting things to play, you get some nice sounds out of them, I had to completely adapt my playing technique. Now, if I'd not come from the bass, maybe that wouldn't be a problem. But this, I play exactly like my bass guitar. I wish this had been around 20 years ago, because it goes into this rather nice gig bag, which has got rucksack style straps on the back. It doesn't weigh very much, and I could have gone to a gig on the bus with that, plug this straight into a PA, having a preamp built in, and done a gig without an amp quite happily, rather than drag a great big flight case and an amp on casters in a transit van. So this should be really, really exciting for bass players as well as for ukulele players. That volume is easily enough, I don't know if you can tell on the video, but it's easily enough to play with 3 or 4 ukulele players in a room, or to jam with a guitarist. So you could take this to a rehearsal without worrying about any kind of amplification, and quite happily play along with a guitarist and be heard and hear yourself quite nicely. But of course, when it really comes to life, is you plug it in. Now, I've got a little powered speaker, PA speaker. It's quite close to the camera, so I'm hoping this doesn't overload. But you can hear what it sounds like plugged in. And then I will mess around with some of these tone controls and let you hear what you can do with it. So at the moment, that is completely flat, the EQ is. Yeah. So let's turn that on. And let's see what we've got. That sounds to me very much like my bass guitar, and I've got an awful lot of things I can do on here. I can boost the bass and cut some of the treble off and get a really nice sort of reggae, really deep reggae sort of bass tone. Conversely, I can put the bass back where it was. I can boost some of the treble, get a really nice cutting tone. I can suck a lot of the mids out, I can boost the bass, I can boost the treble, and I can get a tone that cuts through but at the same time has this nice really nice cutting tone, but at the same time some thick bass underneath that. I can mess with the Brilliance control, so if I turn the Brilliance control up, put everything else flat, it gives me almost a sort of piano style ring, but if I cut the Brilliance right back, it just softens that top end a little bit, gets rid of a little bit of the string squeak that you get with wound strings. I'm very, very excited about this because my inner bass player has come out again. 25 years ago I was playing bass in bands, and since then my bass has pretty much lived under the bed and only come out for recordings, whereas this is living propped up next to the sofa, and because of this nice ability to play it completely acoustically, it's just being picked up all the time, and I am finding myself playing more and more bass and really enjoying it. So I can see how this would really, really appeal to a ukulele band that wants something that visually fits in, sounds great, can be used acoustically when the uke club, the uke band are playing together in a rehearsal room or in their local pub, but could also be taken out to a gig and plugged in. But I think even more exciting than that is bass players. I really want bass players to get hold of this and try it out. So I'm going to try, every time I meet someone that's a bass player, this is going to come out. I'll invite them around for a cup of tea. If you're a bass player friend of mine watching this, come round, have a cuppa, have a play. I think you will be quite excited about the way this sounds and plays. I know I am. Really, really, very, very... No, I just got to stop playing it. Really excited about this from a bass player's point of view. So, highly recommended. It is a little bit larger than some of the other ukulele-style basses on the market, but still probably around the size, I would say, of a 3/4 size guitar, child's guitar. Maybe a touch bigger. But still very, very portable. So the OBU-22 from Ohana, see if you can get hold of one and have a try. But not just if you're a uke player, you're a bass player as well. I think you'll enjoy it. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'm certainly enjoying this, and I hope you get a chance to play one of these and see what you think. Let me know in the comments if you do, and if you've got any questions also, ask me in the comments. Thanks very much, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.